Welcome to Storied Branches, where history, heritage, and storytelling come to life. We dive into the moments, memories, and voices that shape our past and connect us to the present. Stay curious, stay connected, and let's journey through the stories that make us who we are. For more information, visit storiedbranches.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on the life of Captain David Perry.
Captain David Perry.
A man who fought in both the French and Indian and Revolutionary Wars.
Wow.
It's quite a story, and we've got some really interesting sources for this one.
Oh.
We've got historical accounts, biographical sketches,
Okay.
and even a message that Perry himself wrote towards the end of his life.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's really special about this deep dive is that we're not just going to cover the major battles and the dates and the names,
Right.
but we're really going to get a glimpse into the human side of war.
The human side.
Yeah, Perry's personal experiences, his struggles, what kept him going through it all.
I like it. It's easy to get caught up in the grand narratives of history,
Right.
but Perry's story really reminds us that these were real people,
Yeah,
grappling with extraordinary circumstances.
absolutely. And I think you're going to be surprised by some of the twists and turns in his story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a near-death experience that led to a vision.
Okay.
We've got his early prediction of the Revolutionary War.
Interesting.
And we've even got his struggles with poverty, despite his service to the nation.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And all of this is intertwined with this really unwavering faith and dedication to the cause of freedom.
So it's a story about the human spirit.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
A testament to the human spirit and to the ideals that shaped America.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Perry was born in 1741 in Rehoboth, Massachusetts.
Rehoboth.
Massachusetts.
Got it.
During a time of constant tension between England and France.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine growing up with war as a backdrop to your childhood?
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fathom. And for Perry, it wasn't just a distant threat.
Right.
I mean, his father and uncles had fought in King George's War.
Wow.
And one of his uncles was actually killed in action.
Oh, my God.
So, almost as if his path was kind of foreshadowed from a young age.
It's like it was in his blood.
Right.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable how these early experiences shaped his life.
I bet.
You'd think after seeing the toll that war takes on people and on families, that he might have chosen a different path.
For sure.
But at just 16, he enlists and finds himself thrown headfirst into the terror of battle at Fort Ticonderoga in 1758.
That's so young.
Yeah, and that first battle was a brutal introduction to warfare. I mean,
Yeah.
sources say that over 1,000 British soldiers were killed
Oh, my God.
and another 1,500 wounded.
That's insane.
I mean, can you imagine witnessing that level of carnage at such a young age?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling.
And yet, he not only survives this ordeal,
Right.
but he goes on to serve in 3 more campaigns during the French and Indian War.
Wow.
But he wasn't content with just being a regular soldier.
No.
He becomes a provincial ranger,
Ooh, a provincial ranger.
which, as you mentioned earlier, were like the elite special forces of their time.
Yeah, that's right.
So what can you tell us about the Rangers and their unique fighting style?
So the provincial rangers, they were known for their guerrilla tactics.
Okay.
So stealth reconnaissance,
Uh-huh.
independent action. They were often tasked with scouting missions, raiding enemy positions, and disrupting supply lines.
So dangerous stuff.
Super dangerous. It was a very demanding role. You needed to be adaptable. You needed to be courageous.
So it sounds like Perry was drawn to action and adventure.
Definitely. He was not afraid to take risks, to
Mhm.
push himself beyond his limits.
Yeah, and his experiences as a ranger really shaped his character. I mean,
Oh, I bet.
he was constantly on the move, facing danger head-on, and learning to rely on his instincts and skills to survive.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and survive. He did through
Yeah.
some really harrowing experiences.
Yeah.
From Quebec in 1759 to Halifax and even St. John's in Newfoundland. Perry saw it all.
Wow.
And the sources paint a very vivid picture of the harsh realities of 18th century warfare,
Uh-huh.
especially that account of his near-death experience with typhus.
Typhus.
Yeah, on the voyage back from Newfoundland.
Okay.
He was so delirious with fever that he begged his caretaker to iron his blanket with a red-hot iron.
What?
To
Iron his
to
blanket?
kill the lice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a stark reminder of the conditions that these soldiers endured.
Totally, disease was rampant.
Yeah.
Medical care was rudimentary.
Right.
And even the simplest tasks became a struggle for survival.
It's almost unimaginable.
I can't even imagine.
And this experience with typhus is particularly fascinating
Oh, yeah?
because it's linked to a vision that Perry claimed to have had while he was ill.
A vision.
Yeah. He saw a future war with British ships in Boston Harbor,
Okay.
essentially a premonition of the American Revolution.
So while he's sick,
While he's sick, yeah.
he has a vision of the future?
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty wild. What do you make of this vision?
Well, I
I
think,
mean, was it divine revelation
right?
or a subconscious premonition?
Or just a hallucination brought on by the fever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but it undeniably had a profound impact on Perry's outlook.
Of course.
It planted this seed of doubt about the future of the colonies under British rule.
Yeah, like at this time he's fighting for the British,
Right.
but he's having this vision that foreshadows
Shadows, yeah.
his future role fighting against them.
It's like a hidden conflict brewing within him.
Right, a conflict between where he is now and where he's going to be.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
absolutely. And it's a really great example of the complex and often contradictory nature of human experience.
Totally.
I mean, even as he served loyally under the British Crown,
Right.
there were forces at play, both internal and external, that were shaping him for a very different destiny.
It makes you wonder what must have been going through his mind during those years between the wars.
I know. I can't wait to dig into that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, so stay tuned because we'll be right back with more on the extraordinary life of Captain David Perry after a quick break.
Sounds good. Yeah, it really makes you think about the psychological impact of these, of these experiences. He's fighting for the British,
Uh-huh.
but this vision is planting these seeds of doubt about their rule.
It's fascinating to think about what must have been going through his mind during those years between the wars.
Yeah.
He tries to settle into a peaceful life.
Right.
He gets married in 1764, starts a family in Killingly, Connecticut.
Killingly, Connecticut.
Killingly, Connecticut.
Okay.
But things don't go as planned, do they?
They don't.
Not at all.
Oh.
The sources reveal a man grappling with constant financial hardship,
Really?
despite working tirelessly as a tanner and a shoemaker.
Wow.
He even ends up in debt after a failed business partnership.
It's a reminder that even heroes face their own personal battles, right?
Absolutely, and it makes you wonder, how did those struggles shape his views on freedom and the pursuit of happiness?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
It's hard to say for certain,
right.
but it's likely those experiences deepened his empathy for the common man
Yeah,
and fueled his desire for a more just and equitable society.
and amidst these personal struggles,
Uh-huh.
he's also observing the growing discontent among his fellow colonists.
Right.
He's seeing firsthand the impact of British policies that he sees as unjust and oppressive.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he boldly predicted this conflict years earlier.
That's right. He saw the writing on the wall long before many of his contemporaries.
Yeah.
It speaks to his perceptive nature
Mm-hmm.
and his ability to analyze, the underlying causes of these tensions.
So when the revolution finally breaks out, Perry doesn't hesitate.
No, he doesn't.
He's ready to fight for the cause of liberty,
Yes.
even though it means going up against the very empire he once served.
Talk about a change of heart.
Right. It's a testament to his conviction
Yeah.
and his willingness to stand up for what he believes in, even when it's dangerous or unpopular.
So his first taste of action in the revolution comes at the Siege of Boston in 1775.
Okay.
What stands out to you about his service in this conflict?
Well, I think it's his unwavering commitment despite facing incredible hardships,
Mhm.
both personal and on the battlefield.
Right.
He was still struggling financially,
Right.
yet he encouraged others to enlist and even paid bounties out of his own pocket.
It's amazing to think about the sacrifices he made.
It is.
What would drive someone to do that?
I think it speaks to his deep belief in the cause.
Yeah.
This wasn't just about personal freedom for Perry.
Right.
He was fighting for a better future for his community, for his nation, for the generations to come.
Now, before we move on to his later life and the legacy he left behind,
Okay.
let's rewind for a moment
Okay.
and talk about some of those pivotal battles Perry fought in during the French and Indian War.
Let's do it.
The sources you've gathered paint a very vivid picture of those experiences.
They do.
They offer a glimpse into the brutal reality of 18th century warfare
Yeah.
and Perry's remarkable resilience in the face of danger.
It's incredible.
One that really stands out is the Siege of Quebec in 1759.
Okay.
Perry and his unit were part of the force tasked with taking Quebec.
Right.
It was a turning point in the war.
Huge.
But what's fascinating is that his account goes beyond, the grand strategies and the famous names.
Okay.
He describes the day-to-day realities of being a soldier,
Right.
the constant fear, the close size,
Sugar.
the moments of sheer terror. Yeah,
It humanizes the conflict in a way that textbooks often fail to do.
I agree.
You see the war through the eyes of a young man
Yeah.
who's experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah.
The sights, the sounds, the smells, the emotions.
He talks about being sent on scouting missions, capturing French settlers, even having close calls with enemy fire on an almost daily basis.
Wow.
In one instance, he describes how his unit surrounded villagers as they emerged from the woods to tend to their livestock,
Huh.
essentially ambushing them to seize their cattle.
These tactics, while effective, highlight the brutal nature of war, right?
Right.
And the moral dilemmas soldiers often faced.
Absolutely.
It wasn't always about glorious charges and heroic victories. Sometimes it was about survival
Yeah.
and doing what was necessary to accomplish the mission.
And then there's the battle itself, which was a decisive victory for the British,
Yeah,
but it came at a heavy cost.
of course.
Perry wasn't directly involved in the main assault,
Okay,
but he witnessed the aftermath.
right.
And he paints a very grim picture of the destruction caused by the British artillery bombardment,
I bet.
with homes riddled with cannonball
Wow.
and streets filled with rubble.
It's a reminder that even in victory, there's loss and suffering.
Absolutely a side of war that often gets overlooked in the history books.
Very true.
Fast forward a few years to 1762,
Okay.
and Perry finds himself in yet another conflict.
Another one.
Yeah, the fight to recapture St. John's in Newfoundland, which had fallen to the French.
Right.
What's interesting about this battle is his first-hand account of the fight for Signal Hill,
Signal Hill.
a strategically vital point during the siege.
Gotcha.
His description of the fighting is gripping, particularly his recollection of a near-death experience
Really?
where a cannonball whizzed past his head,
Oh my gosh.
so close that he could feel the air move around him.
It's incredible that he lived to tell the tale.
I know you can practically feel the terror and the adrenaline in his
Yeah,
words,
it's bad.
and it's in those moments of extreme peril
Right.
that Perry's faith emerges as this really powerful force.
Okay.
He attributes his survival to divine providence,
Yeah.
a belief that would sustain him throughout his life.
It makes sense.
But it's the aftermath of this battle that proves to be the most harrowing experience for Perry.
Okay.
During the voyage back to Halifax, he contracts typhus
Okay.
and becomes so severely ill that he believes he's dying.
Oh, wow.
And it's during this period that he experiences that incredible vision we talked about earlier.
Right. The one where he sees.
The one where he sees a future war with British ships in Boston Harbor.
It's almost as if this near-death experience opened his eyes to a deeper truth.
Right.
A glimpse into the future of his nation and the conflict that lay ahead.
It's a truly pivotal moment in his story.
Yeah.
This vision, coupled with his personal struggles and his growing disillusionment with British rule, sets the stage for his transformation from loyal British soldier to ardent American patriot.
And it's that transformation that we'll explore further as we delve into the next chapter of his life.
Yes.
And his crucial role in the fight for American independence.
We left off with Perry returning home after the French and Indian War.
Right.
A seasoned veteran, but with a growing sense of unease about the relationship between the colonies and Great Britain.
And it's important to remember that those years between the wars were incredibly challenging for him.
Oh, absolutely.
He faced constant financial hardship
Yes.
despite working tirelessly to provide for his family.
Right.
And these experiences likely fueled his resentment towards British policies that he saw as, favoring the wealthy and powerful.
He's seeing firsthand the struggles of the common man,
Yeah.
the injustices of the system,
Exactly.
and at the same time, he's witnessing the growing discontent among his fellow colonists.
Right, those seeds of rebellion that he had predicted years earlier are starting to take root.
Yeah, he wasn't just observing these events.
Right.
He was analyzing them, understanding the root causes of the growing tensions.
He was becoming a leader in his community.
Yes.
A voice for change.
So when the war finally erupts, Perry doesn't hesitate.
He's led her.
He enlists serving first at the Siege of Boston.
Of course.
What strikes you about his service in the Revolutionary War?
I think it's his unwavering commitment to the cause, despite facing even more hardship.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still struggling financially.
Yeah.
Yet he actively encouraged others to enlist and even paid bounties out of his own pocket.
It's incredible. What do you think drove him to make those sacrifices?
Well, I think it was a combination of factors.
Yeah.
His personal struggles, his belief in a just cause, and his unwavering faith.
His faith seems to have played a significant role throughout his life.
Absolutely. Perry's memoirs are full of references to divine providence.
Yeah.
He saw God's hand guiding him through battles, protecting him from harm, and ultimately leading the colonists to victory.
Right.
And this belief in a higher purpose, fueled his determination and provided solace in the face of adversity.
It's a powerful testament to the power of faith.
It is.
And the belief that there's something greater than ourselves guiding us through those difficult times.
Yeah, and let's not forget his later years after the war, Perry continued to serve his community.
Right. He moved to Plainfield, New Hampshire.
Plainfield. Okay.
Where he was a selectman and a militia officer.
Wow.
And he was even instrumental in the formation of the state of Vermont.
So cool.
It speaks to his enduring sense of civic duty, his commitment to building a better future for himself and his community.
Yeah.
And then at the age of 80, he begins writing his memoirs in Chelsea, Vermont.
80 years old.
80 years old.
Wow. Wow.
determined to preserve his story for future generations.
That's amazing. It's a testament to his belief in the power of storytelling and the importance of passing down lessons learned to future generations.
But there's a heartbreaking detail.
Oh.
Perry couldn't afford to publish his memoirs,
Oh, no.
and a young printer named Simeon Ide was so moved by Perry's story that he printed them for free,
Really?
reserving any potential profits for other veterans who might want to share their experiences.
That's so kind.
It's a beautiful act of generosity,
It is.
and a reminder that the spirit of the American Revolution was built on community and shared sacrifice.
And within those memoirs is this truly remarkable document titled Last Testimony.
Yes, a powerful message extracted from his writings and his epitaphs.
So this last testimony is like a time capsule,
It is.
offering us direct insight into the values and beliefs of a man who helped shape the very foundations of our nation.
And in it, Perry emphasizes the importance of safeguarding liberty, avoiding internal quarrels, rejecting European influence, choosing the right leaders through elections, and above all, dedicating ourselves to God and national unity.
These weren't just abstract ideals for Perry, though, right?
Right, they were hard-won lessons learned through a life of service and sacrifice.
Makes sense.
He had witnessed the devastating consequences of division and tyranny,
Yeah.
and he was determined to ensure that future generations would never forget the price of freedom.
It's an important message for us to remember today.
It is, and as we wrap up this deep dive into the life of Captain David Perry,
Yeah.
I'm left wondering what he would think of America today.
I wonder.
Would he be proud of the nation he helped create? Would he see those core values he fought for, liberty, unity, faith, reflected in our society?
It's a question worth pondering for sure.
It is, and his story really serves as a powerful reminder that history isn't just about dates and battles.
No.
It's about individuals who lived through those events.
Right.
Who struggled, who persevered, and who ultimately shaped the world we live in today.
Captain David Perry embodies the spirit of the American Revolution: courage, resilience, faith, and an unshakable belief in the power of freedom.
Well said. I think that's a perfect way to end our deep dive into the life of this remarkable man,
I agree.
Captain David Perry.
A true American hero.